sure you are amazing. And how would people know that you're amazing? Our first impression, the look on our face, our smile, everything about us when people meet us for the first time will give a first impression, and that's not just a quote. We only get one chance to make a first impression. So what are people seeing? And the reverse of that, when you see somebody for the first time, is it possible that you judge them by their appearance, their face, what they're wearing, what's going on at that exact time? And that's just fair, isn't it? Because we don't know the person, so we can't judge whether or not they're a nice person. We haven't had anything to do with them. All we've got to judge them by is the first impression is their appearance. But is it possible that we make some very serious judgment of people when we meet them for the very first time? And the experts suggest that we judge people when we meet them initially. Within 30 seconds, we're judging where they come from, how rich they are they a happy person, what their background is. We make judgment very, very quickly, which as humans we probably need to be a little bit careful about. And it's something that if you want to be a kind person, a respectful person, understand that yes, human nature is I'm going to judge somebody by the way they look. But is it possible that the way somebody looks might not necessarily be the person that they are? And how many times have you been caught out with that, where you thought somebody is a certain kind of person and they've opened their mouth to talk, or they've shared information, or you've got to know them a bit better, and you realise that your first impression was wrong? And it's something I'm really careful of. I would really like to be considered a nice person. I don't want to be known as a judgmental person. How about you? So when I meet somebody for the first time, I'm very aware, okay, my brain, my human instinct says that person is that my judgment is they're going to be that kind of a person. But I want to make sure that I get to know them, and I can't do that by talking. I have to do that by asking questions. So one of the things that I'm really aware of when I meet somebody for the first time is I use the golden question. I love this question. Tell me about you. And then lean forward, maintain eye contact, open body language, and actively listen, which then will give me lots of information. Now, people say to me, Rowie, but people don't want to talk about themselves. I've never found that to be true. I've always found that people want to talk. But even if they're a little bit shy, I'll say, tell me about you. And they might say, what would you like to know? And I say, well, tell me what's important to you, or tell me what excites you, or tell me what you're passionate about. Tell me about the things in your life that you love. So big open questions so that I can get lots of information. And the reason for that is I want to know about the person. Now, of course, if you don't care about people and you don't, if you're going to just go with your first impression, none of that matters. But if you really want to learn, grow, get better, learn more about people, expand your own personal knowledge, could it be a really good idea to ask open-ended questions so that you get to know people really well? So tell me about you, tell me about that, and then ask 2 or 3 questions about each answer. And in my personal experience, because it's something that I do all the time and something I'm really aware of, there has been times where, and I'm just going to give you a really interesting example. Please excuse the language because it wasn't my language. But I went into a public toilet, and it was on the Gold Coast in Australia, and the cleaning lady was in there. And I just said, hi, how are you? Are you having a great day? And she looked at me really angry and she said, what the fuck do you care? Really angry. I knew she wasn't angry with me because I didn't know her. She'd obviously had a really bad day. That was my initial judgment. Now, I could have got offended, I could have got hurt, I could have got angry, I could have reacted rather than responded. But I knew that there was something about her that, to me that's sad. If you're going to be that angry with somebody that you don't know, there must be something going on in your life that's not very nice. About 2 hours later, I came out of that public toilet, and it turned out that she had had a horrible life. She shared with me all the horrible experiences that she'd been through. And ironically, she was cleaning toilets and she was a civil engineer from a Eastern Bloc country in Europe. And she had built buildings, built bridges. She was a really educated woman, but because she lived in Australia and couldn't speak English very well, she ended up cleaning toilets. Now, I think that somebody that cleans toilets is probably far more important than anything, because we don't, and that's my thing about judgment, yeah? Oh, that's the bus driver, or that's the checkout person, or that's the person that cleans the toilet. One of the things I do when I go, for example, to schools, and I spend a lot of time in schools, if the principal's not in the school, most people don't know. But if the cleaner doesn't show up, then it's really obvious that there's something wrong, and it's really awful if the cleaner's not there, which is my point about judgment. Why do we put some people on a pedestal and say they are really important, and that person's not very important because, and there's a whole heap of reasons, they're only the bus driver, or they're only the cleaning person, or they work in a supermarket. And to me, that's just poor judgment. Because some of the most beautiful conversations I've ever had, some of the most beautiful people I've ever met, some of the most intelligent people, and some of the people that I've learnt the most from haven't been in some hoity-toity position, CEO of a company, famous person. And I've met a lot of those too. And again, every time I meet a famous person or somebody who everybody else thinks is important, I always use the same questions. Tell me about you, tell me about that, what's important to you, what you're passionate about. And I learned so much more. And the art of communication, which I wish the world was a little bit more concerned about or more interested in. It's not about me talking, because of course if I'm talking I'm not learning anything, I'm not growing, I'm not getting any better, and I can't get to know another person better if I'm doing the talking. And I already know me, so I don't need to talk about me. I want to find out about the other person. So first impression, whether you like it or not, people will judge you by the way you look. We judge other people by the way they look. But wouldn't it be nice if people, before they pass serious judgment on us, they asked us a few more personal questions so that they would know us a little bit better? Now, most people don't do that, but that's what I do, because I want to get to know other people better. So if you want to expand your communication skills, maybe ask more questions. Could that be a good idea? Tell me about you, tell me about that. One of the things that doesn't work real well is, how are you today? Because people will often tell you how they are, and there's this big long spiel about how they're sick or tired or miserable or grumpy. And if you want to hear that stuff, you'll probably get it. But if you ask somebody what's important to you, what are you passionate about, what are you excited about, and push a little harder on those things, you might get some really great information. And when you leave that person, you've left them with something interesting and exciting to think about, rather than talk about the weather or talk about the terrible things that are going on in the world. Because there's always terrible things going on in the world. I've lived on the planet a really long time, and there's been lots of stuff happen. But if I want every day to be amazing, and I can't change the past, I can only be excited about the future. If I want to have a great day today, everybody that I meet today, I want to find out more about them so I can learn more and grow more and expand my knowledge too. So if you want to live your life to the max, maybe ask more questions. Could that be a good idea? So that you can sing like I do every day. I feel good. Na 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 na. I knew that I would now. Na 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 na. So good. Yeah, so good. Woohoo!